Hello, and welcome to episode 11 of the question and answer series. I'm going to try and make today's one reasonably snappy, just because it's quite late in the night, and I just wanted to get something out and done. So what we're going to do is we're just going to look at the comments from episode 10, and then we're just going to answer a fairly simple and easy question to get off the top. And then we'll talk about one of the projects that I'm working on in the future, just so you kind of get an idea of it and see if it'd be something you'd be interested in. Basically the same thing, but in podcast form. Anyway, just click on the right tab if we start. Just comment section from episode 10. David Coots, nice one, Mark. Thanks for answering my questions on deadlifts versus rack pulls. No problem, David. Hope you found it useful. Jimmy Brungus, you definitely should have done at least one Q&A with the Pedo Tash. Could grow one in for you. Maybe if you donated, maybe we could make it a charity thing, or maybe not. I don't know. That's funny. I came around. This is to the answer to the question on like psychology and taking it easier if you're coming back from injury. That's funny. I came around to the volume side of things because of injuries, and it worked perfectly. Definitely keep the weights moderate most of the time. It's gone very well. I think I just need to let time take its course, and confidence will come. Won't be an overnight thing. Perfect answer, exactly right. Really like the previous video on periodization, one of your best ones, thank you very much. What are some of the main concepts you would bring in if you were training a powerlifter over 10, 20 years? Pretty broad question, I know. It is a broad question, and I definitely will come back to it and answer it. That's probably like a 20, 30 minute video. So I definitely will answer that, just not on this video. Okay, so today's question comes from John via email. Is tempo training, open bracket, changing the rep tempo from session to session, something useful or just a useless training complication? If useful, how would you use it? So tempo training is, you might see it denoted in some internet programs where you have a 301 or 303 or 313. Basically that denotes the 3 is a three count on the way down, so that's a 3 count lowering, a 0 is just press, a 1's a pause, a 2 would be a 2-second pause, and then the next number is a concentric. So if it's 313, it'd be 1 2 3 1 1 2 3. So it's basically you're trying to regulate the amount of time you spend in each portion of the lift, so either the eccentric portion, the lowering portion, a pause somewhere in the lift, normally at the bottom of the range of motion, and then the concentric, the actual lifting portion. Something you'll see in bodybuilding programs, something that's been popularized quite a lot by Charles Poliquin. He's a big fan of it. Charles Poliquin in one of his programs would set out exercise, load, sets, reps, and tempo as a standard. Wouldn't even question the use of the tempo. Tempo is useful in instances, but it makes the movement unnatural. So if you're lifting for performance, so if you're a strength athlete, or you're using like a squat to get stronger for your sport, or you're using clean to get stronger for your sport, or you're trying to squat as much as physically possible, if you want to train the exercise for performance, then the tempo is an innate thing. It's within the execution of the lift. Everyone will have a different style. Everyone will have a different rhythm of lifting. Some people like to lower slowly in the squat. Some people like to dive bomb. Some people like to fall at a normal pace. Some people are faster than others. Some people are slower than others. Some people bounce to the bottom. Some people rise slowly out of the bottom. Some people are quick at the top of the lift. Some people are quick at the bottom and slow at the top. It depends. Like for performance, what you do is you take it down under control. So in a bench press, you lower under control. In squat, you lower under control, so you don't fall out of your form. So each rep's in the same line. It's the same skill execution, and then you just press as hard as you can, or stand up as hard as you can in a squat. In a clean or a snatch, you take it off the floor in the correct manner. A novice will have to take it off slowly, Someone who's advanced will just rip it off the floor because they'll automatically take it through the correct line of lifting, or they'll have the correct technique to take it off the floor with as much intention as possible. Whereas someone who's a beginner might have to deliberately go slow right to the second pull, just so they hit the correct position, so they're not rushing in, pull over their arms too early, yada yada, etc., etc. If you're training for strength and performance, tempo can be used as assistance, but for your primary lifting, tempo is just natural. It's what you do. It's how you've learned to do the skill and what skill execution brings you the most strength. So if you like to utilize the stretch reflex a lot in a squat, and your knees are fine with it, and you've been doing it and you're cool with it, then just you want to Pat Mendes it and dive down, sweet. If you squat above parallel, so you're like Andy Bolton, you like to go under, or you're used to squatting in equipment as an example, any equipped powerlifter, name one, they'll typically like to go down under control slowly, and then try to stand up as hard as possible, because they're not going below parallel in a squat. And bench press is generally pretty good practice to take it down under control, because inevitably if you dive down on a bench press and try to bounce it, you're either going to come out of the line, you're going to lift your arse up, or it's just going to get like you're going to mess up the execution. It's better to have a slower tempo on the way down the bench press. The squat's an innate thing. If you're going down below parallel, it's down to you. Deadlift, there is no tempo, just fucking rip it. Assistance work, again, you can use tempo as an example. So for assistance work, this is probably where it might come into more use if you're doing something like a lat pull down and you were more interested in working the postural parts of the back, so serratus anterior, teres minor, rhomboids, basically the muscles that articulate the scapula. If you go fast and just rip it down or try to go for weight, strong muscles in the back, so your lataris dorsi primarily and biceps are going to take over that action because they're the stronger muscles. So if you go with force and tension, just go as quick as you can or as heavy as you can, stronger muscles are going to take over. The smaller muscles will be involved as well, of course, but if you're deliberate with how you're putting it, so if you're pulling down with like deliberately like 1, 2, 3, and during that 1, 2, 3 it's a light weight and you're really concentrating on contracting your scapula and like pulling in, like touching your collarbone and just getting that exact execution, then you're more likely to feel it in the kind of smaller muscles. Much like in like an external rotation exercise, if you pick a dumbbell or pick a cable and just start ragging the shit out of it, your deltoids are going to take over, biceps going to get involved, wrist extensors are going to get involved, lats are going to get involved, and the fast force producing muscles. Whereas you put like this in here and then start moving slowly, then all of a sudden, and you keep pressing that in, you're going to feel it here straight away. That's because your infraspinatus, the small postural muscles here, are going to get isolated in that role. You can't really use your delts so much. You can't fire it off your triceps, can't fire off for your lats because you're trying to hold that postural position and then just move slowly under control. That's more likely to bring out the rotator cuffs as you externally rotate. So your external rotators of the shoulder joint are going to get more action there. And much the same way in any kind of scapular exercise, if you take your time, try to isolate the muscle group. Things like even bicep curls, if you like take your time, do a concentration curl, you're going to feel it in the bicep, as opposed to if you take a heavy weight and then start swinging the fuck out of it, just doing it any old way, you're going to feel it everywhere but your bicep until the last 2 or 3 reps when you're so fucked you have to use your biceps. So you're going to feel it in your biceps, but you're also going to feel it everywhere else. Tempos can be used, but they're more, in an instance, for assistance exercise. If you want to hit a postural muscle or a smaller non-force producing muscle group, then tempo is a great idea. In your main lifts, like your squats, your deadlifts, your bench presses, your shoulder presses, you can use tempo as a skill learning tool or just to strengthen up certain positions. So in a squat, you might go down on a 6 count downwards, a pause at the bottom, and then explode up just to try and hit the positions better, or just to get more cognition on how you're going down into the bottom of the squat so you can think about what you're actually doing. Think about when you need to extend your spine, where you need to be tight in your lower back, pausing at the bottom, when you need to push your knees out. You don't need to push your knees out at the start, so right at the bottom that you need that. Knee displacement to get your hips forward so you're in under the bar. When you stand up, you can start to realize that it's about standing with a straight torso, getting your hips, when your hips come in under the bar, they don't come in under the bar at the bottom of the squat because it's anatomically impossible. You'll start discovering that it's actually quite high up until you start getting your hips up, until your hips actually start extending in under the bar. In bench press, you'll start finding if you start using pause, then you'll start realizing the timing of the press. Like from here, you need to get it's almost like a whole body movement if you're using an arch. If you're not using an arch, if you're doing feet up, then you can find out where the line is. You become acutely aware of things if you do it slowly. With deadlift, you can use you can pause at the kneecap just to kind of strengthen up your posture position during the deadlift. And specifically in that position, you can use it in infinity amount of ways you want to. It's a very useful tool if used correctly in the right context. Just used for all of your exercises all the time, it's unnatural and silly. The same as anything, if you use a knife correctly, if you use a knife to cut your food up, it's a good tool. If you use a knife to stab yourself in the face, it's a bad tool. Tempo's good. It just depends how you use it and how it sits within your program as a wider kind of question, if that makes sense. It's not so much as simple, not a simple answer as in, if you do, the hamstrings they're fast muscles, so if you just try to explode as quick as possible, it's not how it works. Yes, there are Paul Quinn loves the quadriceps or more slow twitch muscle, more slow twitch nature. So you have to do more volume than on the hamstrings. True, maybe yes. I don't know. Too easy, too clean cut an answer. We don't know. Might be, could be right, but politely just taking a study or a sentence somewhere and just extrapolate it out widely to make themselves look awesome. That's what most people do. So it's not clear cut. Depends how you use it, in what context you use it, and what you're doing with it. So if you're using it for assistance work for small postural muscles, then a tempo can take out the large force producing muscles, which will let you target the smaller muscle groups. It's good for that. Or within as a skill learning tool, or to work in certain positions on a lift, on a performance lift. But if within your own training, it's generally just good to come down under control, lift as hard as you can, and then that's it. You don't really need to worry about it unless you're using it for a specific manner. So this probably went on for 20 minutes myself. I was going on for 10. 13 minutes. So I'll leave it there. Hopefully that's answered your question, John. I know we've got another question that I'm going to answer. So what I was alluding to at the start of the video is I've been talking with Ben, if you follow this channel, Ben Tormey, who I've been doing, I used to do the Health, Fitness and Success podcast with once every 2 months. The content was really good. I really enjoyed doing it. Just it wasn't regular enough. And we did get some interaction, and I think the people that listened to it liked it. So if you did like it, I've got good news. We're going to be doing our podcast. I want to do it on a Monday, Wednesday, and a Friday. So whether that means we do 3 in a week, and then I release them on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at a certain time. That's another matter. Or whether we actually just do it on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We'll sort that out between ourselves. But I want to get a regular release schedule of Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. The show length will be anywhere between 20 minutes and 40 minutes, depending on the topic. I want to do a question and answer part of the show, but I'll maybe leave that to Friday. Yet to flesh it out. We have a name for the podcast, which you'll find out soon enough when we release the first one. I will release the first one on this channel, on my Cast Iron Strength webpage, on the Cast Iron Strength Facebook. I have a website for the podcast, which will link to it. Put it on iTunes. You'll be able to get it on Android. We'll do it proper. So hopefully it was something for you to look forward to and enjoy. Spread the word when we release it. Send your pals. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, well, fuck you. Just joking, of course. Yeah, so that pretty much concludes this question and answer series, question and answer episode. This is Mark, castironstrength.com, signing off. Until next time, goodbye.